So I want to introduce you to some of the pattern panels that you've got on your Digital Craftorium, all about boxes USB. And they look quite strange when you look at them because they've been designed slightly differently. And it's important that it's really interesting as a non-graphic designer, but as a crafter, it's interesting how we've changed the way that we save our files now on Digital Craftorium. We've changed them probably about a couple of years ago or 3 years ago, even when I got really heavily involved with the brand. Because as a digital crafter, rather than a graphic designer, I want to get the most out of each of these patterns. So we save them in a slightly different way, and I just want to talk a little bit about that. You'll see this pattern now looks quite strange because it's got almost like an extra layer here and here than it has here and here. And these are what we call seamless patterns. So it means that you can group all this together and duplicate it, and then you can literally take the whole lot and add it to this side so you make the pattern longer. You can also just take these pieces, so these petals here, and put them over here if that's what you want to do. You can take these little leaf shapes at the bottom here and put them at the top, so you can make that a perfectly symmetrical panel, and it gives you more scope. You could also then just have those 5 petals and get rid of those. You could then just have that triangle with the leaf shape and the triangle and do a whole border of those. So in graphic design terms, if somebody's designed this on a computer, they can press a button that compounds the path, which sounds very technical. What it means is that it punches all these white shapes through this black square. And once they've been punched through and they've been deleted, the machine or the computer sees the file the way that we see it, like a stencil design, where these white pieces become open spaces. But once it's been compounded, you can't ungroup it then because it's one shape. So what we do is we save them differently. We don't compound them. We get you to do that in Canvas Workspace, which if somebody had said that to me, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, whatever, I'm not going to do that. But it's the simplest thing, and I am going to show you how to do that in another video. So what we've done, what the Scan and Cut sees in these patterns is the square with all these individual shapes, so the leaf shape and the petal shape and the triangle sat on top. And what that means is it's not one shape, it's several shapes. So it means that you can just use that bit or just that bit, or you can make a row. So you can use all this detail that's inside here and manipulate it to work for you. So you can see there's almost like a circle shape there with a flower in the middle of it. You could just isolate that bit. And that's what's exciting about Digital Craftorium, because you're in control of it, not the graphic designer who's punched that through and that's all you can do with it. And it's a little bit extra work, but it's so simple and it's so creative and it's so enjoyable. And it means that every time you use this pattern, you can make it slightly different if that's what you want to do. So I'm just going to flick through some of these patterns so that you can see what's on your USB. We are going to do a PDF version of this that you can open up and look at on your computer, or you can print off if that's what you want to do. But I just wanted to show you some of the different designs. This is quite a funky one, just with those lines. This would be great in a panel for a man's box maybe. You've got almost like this argyle print. You've got these fabulous little shapes here. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is because we haven't compounded them, that shape there now becomes a nested shape because you can resize it and you can create outward and inward offset lines. So you've now got another shape that isn't in your Scan and Cut that you can now use for your mats and layers. And you can with this one. Or you could just have a border of that. Or you could just have a border of that. Or you could have a double row with one of the little diamonds in the middle. You can then take that row and add it onto here, and that row and add it onto here to make it perfectly symmetrical. So you can see what I mean about having much more scope when we don't do that final press of that button on the graphic designer's computer, it means that you've got so much more versatility within these patterns that you would have had if they'd compounded them. So this is why we do it the way that we do it. But if there's anything that we need to teach you like this, we will make sure that we do a video tutorial and put it on our YouTube channel. This is a brilliant one. I remember Spellbinders doing a label shape similar to this, and right at the beginning of thin metal dies, you probably got about 10 of them for £240, and we couldn't keep them in stock. But now you've got this, so you can make that bigger, and then you can create outward and inward offset lines. You can use it as a frame. It's all these added extra bits just because the graphic designer didn't press that button, because you can do that easily in Canvas Workspace. This is a fabulous one. Imagine that paper piece, how cool that would look. You can draw these. So you could draw this. If you think paper piecing, I can't be bothered doing all that. Draw it out, colour it in with your pens, and then cut this out and lay it over the top. And it will have exactly the same look as paper piecing, but it will take you half the time. I've got these fabulous ones here. And again, seamless. So I can take that and position it here and make it bigger. I can still resize these. The only thing you need to be aware of is that the Scan and Cut has a 3mm turning point for its blade. So if you took that down to 1mm, the machine would probably remove it when it downloaded it. And actually, it wouldn't cut very cleanly at 1mm because it's too tiny. But look what you've got there. You've got just rows of circles. So you could remove the diamonds if you wanted to. You could just have the diamonds in a row. You could just have the circles in a row. It opens up so much more creativity for you, the way that we save them, than it does if you just buy it as a compound path file. And we make sure that the patterns work correctly with all the machines. So they will open. The paths are designed so that there isn't too many of them to be able to open. You've got this fabulous honeycomb in there. You've got this lovely crisscross pattern. You've got the circles with the lines through. That's really cool. Looks like a bit like the London Underground sign, that. Then you've got this really nice pattern here. And just looking at all these things. Now, these are not just cutting files for you to cut out of card. These are stencils and masks. So now you've got all these shapes. I mean, that is super cool. That makes the camera go a little bit funny. That's why we don't have stripes on camera. That's why we don't wear stripes on TV, because it makes the cameras do funny things to your eyes. But there are 30 patterns on here. And you can put, now 20 of the projects on the USB are the construction board ones. They also come with patterns. So if you don't want to use your patterned papers, you don't have to. You can put a pattern panel on these. So there's 30 boxes and 30 pattern panels. And you can put any pattern in any panel on any box. So instead of having 30 options, you actually have 900. It's a little bit mind-blowing, that, isn't it? And the only reason you have 900 is because a designer didn't do that and compound the path. And that, for me, is why when you've got a crafter who knows this machine inside out and knows how it sees things, teaching you how to get the most out of a USB, that's when it becomes incredible value for money. Because the cost of the USB is around £40, but you've got 900 options. Now think about that as sets of dies. So 30 boxes with 30 different panels for each one. So 900 options. Let's say they're £30 each. That's £27,000. That's crazy. But that's what you're looking at. That's why when I go on TV and say a Scan and Cut is absolutely a considered purchase, and I totally understand that, but the money that it will save you long term is phenomenal. That's what I'm talking about. The difference between £27,000 and £40. So we will get these done for you so that you can look at them on your computer and you can see what pattern 1 looks like, what pattern 27 looks like, etc. And then I'll take you into Canvas Workspace on another video, show you how you can get the most out of them.